the Fuji XH1 paired the Tamron SP 500mm. But as you probably know as well, wildlife isn't all about hiking. There's a lot of wading. So I also wanted a kit that would get me close to the action. I found that with this Tamron SP 500. In total, it weighs about 1,200 grams. It's less than some of those 100 to 400 zooms. I'm getting an extra 100 millimeters. So you might be wondering, how is this possible? How can I have a 1,200 gram kit, 500 millimeters, and actually produce any photos worth keeping? Well, I think the Fuji XH1 really helps here, because this Tamron 500 millimeter doesn't have any stabilization, and luckily this XH1 does. So with the in-body stabilization, I'm actually able to shoot this 500 millimeter lens at shutter speeds about 1/100th of a second. You probably know the rule. You should be shooting at least 1/500th of a second. But the in-body stabilization really allows me to expand what I can do with this lens. And in a forest environment like this, that could be all the difference. So, if you're still watching, you must be a little curious about this lens. So, let me show you it. First off, I have a very simple adapter here. It's from K&F Concept. It costs about 20 bucks online. Not bad. That converts the Tamron into a Fuji mount. This here is the lens mount. This here is a UV filter, which means the lens itself is actually only this part right here. You might see on this lens, we have about a 330 degree rotation for focusing. It starts short end at 1.7 meters, and you can see there's a big macro range here, a lot of playroom there. And you'd have to rotate this all the way around to get to 30 meters or infinity here. So, although we're talking about wildlife here, it's also good to know that this shoots pretty good macro. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 for you there. So you must be thinking, well, what's the downside to this? Let me tell you. So because this is a mirror lens, the aperture is fixed at f8. Now this isn't a normal f8 that you might shoot with other lenses. This f8, the depth of field is thin, razor thin. You might take a picture of a bird or say a lizard, something like this, where the front is in tack focus, but just behind you start to see the bouquet coming in. In some situations, this is awesome because you have great subject isolation. The background just melts away. The bouquet itself, some people really don't like it. I really like it. It has an artistic sense that you don't find. It's unique. You know, all these lenses are making very similar, very smooth bokehs in the back. And while that is even possible with this lens, occasionally you get bokeh where you have these rings, which is one of the things that you'll most notice about mirror lenses, this traditional donut-shaped bokeh. You'll find those in the background in some of your images, and while occasionally they can be distracting, sometimes you can use them and it really adds a little something to your image, and you can see an example of that here. But yeah, I'll also, while we're on it, I'll give you an example of that razor thin depth of field. Right, so about that, you can see the depth of field is very narrow, your focusing margins are very thin. Now, this is a manual focus lens, and it takes a lot of practice to get that subject perfectly in focus. I showed you already, it has a 330 degree turning focus here. So you might guess that the slightest movements to this focusing ring really can bring in your subject into sharpness or fade them out of that sharpness. That being said, it does a really good job of not slipping. So when you set a depth of field, it stays there. This lens doesn't move around. It's really well made, all metal construction. It really feels good in the hand. It's not too heavy, as I already said. This thing weighs only 600 grams. That's easily half or less than comparable lenses at this focal length. So while it has some downsides, the upsides are great. And let me show you just what kind of sharpness that you can expect of getting out of this lens. And another great thing about Fuji's XH1 is that it has something called focus peaking. So if you're worried that doing that manual focusing will be tough, well, first it will be, but it's so rewarding to shoot a shot that is your own. You set everything. You set, set the ISO, set the shutter speed, the aperture's fixed, so you don't need to worry about that, but the focusing's all yours. The whole composition is your shot, and I think that really makes it rewarding. Anyway, the XH1, what it has is focus peaking. So when I'm out there focusing manually, I'm able to put some highlights on the subject, say the deer, the bird, what have you, where the edges, the things that are in focus, get highlighted. So you can change the color between white, blue, red, and yellow, I believe. Also low and high levels of focus peaking. So I typically use low and blue or low and white. Yeah, your preference there. And what's really cool is the XH1 has an amazing electric viewfinder, one of the best I've ever seen, and you can look online, some other reviews, they'll compare it. It's really, really amazing, and I really appreciate electric viewfinders because what you see is what you're getting, and that's really helpful in composing your shot. So this combination for me is great. I love that it has the ISO ring here. I can quickly knock that around and pick up or lose some light, and I keep it on T here, and that lets me use the shutter speed wheel here. I find when I'm shooting that's easy on my thumb. I know that's there and I can change that like this. That's kind of how I do it, but I'm sure you'll play around and find your magic solution as well. But for me, that's the combo that works, and I really enjoy shooting with this. As I said, I feel like every time I do get a shot that's worth keeping, I earned it. I didn't just point the camera, click, and the subject was in focus and everything was easy. I really appreciate the fact that I have to really focus and try to get them in focus. And yeah, for me, that's part of the joy of photography. And one of the best things, which is maybe why you click this in the beginning, is this lens costs about $100. I mean, maybe you find a mint condition $150, but somewhere in this ballpark, $100. This camera, I mean, I don't know if you're okay buying used or not, but in total, I can tell you that I have everything in my hands right now for under $1,000. And for me, that was a great deal. And it really lets me start into wildlife photography while not breaking the bank. But wait, there's more. I realize I've been talking so much about the lens, I didn't really get to show off everything the XH1 can do. So I just want to quickly go over some of the things that I really like about it. The grip, I mean, oh, that's great. I really can get my hand on this thing. Before I had the XT20, also a great camera, really, really capable of producing some amazing photos. I actually made another video about why I upgraded to the XH1. If you're interested in that, go ahead and click there. Anyway, this guy has a great dedicated grip, really feels good in the hand, has a leaf shutter. It's amazing, and the sound it makes, listen. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, one cool thing, the newest firmware, if you're into making really beautiful landscape or perhaps macro shots, things like this, there's focus bracketing, which means if you have a lens that has autofocus, it'll take photos at different focal points and then collapse those together for you. So you can really get a fully in focus shot that's quite beautiful. So I really enjoy that. Some things, everything here feels super professional. You have a dedicated battery door down here, gasket sealed. Here, don't know what that is. Should probably put that back. Here we have a door. We have USB-C connections, HDMI connections. We have a mic input here, and also a remote release there. The LCD screen is large and nice. While it doesn't fully articulate, it does tilt down, it tilts up, and it also tilts to the side. So that would be helpful, I guess, if you're composing some portrait shots. You do have the autofocus joystick here, which could be useful for you. Q button is in a nice spot just off the thumb. Again, you have the wheel here. You also have another wheel here. This one is set to change aperture. Have this little nice Kindle-like display on the top, so you can see, for instance, when you're on, what your shutter speed is, what your exposure is like, your ISO, what your settings are, things like this. Also very nice. All of these knobs are double knobs, we can call them. So this one does ISO, this one does shutter speed. But underneath them, you have all the modes here. So I'm on single shot here, but you can flip this around. You can take a video, you can do brackets, high burst, medium burst, low burst, panorama, and this is kind of some different modes that you might shoot in, playful modes, kind of like this. This is what you're doing for focusing. You want the whole thing, you want single point area, things like that. Really, really nice. Don't think I said this yet. You have dual SD card slots here, so you can dedicate one, say, for video, one for shooting stills, anything you like. But for me, the stabilization is one of the best things about this camera, because I really love shooting with adapted lenses. I also have a old Minolta lens for some portraits, and also a macro lens, which is also third party. I actually did a review on that too. If you want to see that, go ahead and click there. I guess one more thing. So the video, I didn't get this camera thinking that I would shoot a lot of video. However, I've started to really get into it. There's some really cool modes in here. It shoots an F-Log for you videographers out there. Does 4K at 30 frames per second. What's also very cool, it does 120 frames per second at 1080, and you can actually slow that down in camera 5 times, and it'll produce some really cool slow-mo shots for you. And paired with the stabilization, you can pan shots on your own. You don't need to really worry about that. And if you pair that with one of Fuji's dedicated lenses, they have optical image stabilization in them, and I believe the camera kind of intelligently chooses which one to use at which times. But in any case, what comes out is some very nice, still, smooth video, and that's what we all want when we're shooting video, after all. So for me, this thing feels great in the hand. Whoa! What was that? So, I hope you like that. This is my review on the Fuji XH1 paired with the Tamron SP 500mm f8 mirror lens. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, 2 thumbs down if you didn't. Go ahead and subscribe. I have a lot of videos coming out talking about different gear, different things I've learned so far in my photographic journey. So, hope to hear from you guys, and have a good one.